G'day, it's Kris, and today we're going to be asking the question, should you play Signalis? Signalis came out at the end of last year from Rose Engine, and I'm able to play this game today because around 2 to 3 months ago, it came out on Xbox Games Pass. And lots of people who have played this game rant and rave about how its homages to classic survival horror elevates this game above the sum of its parts. Let's get into it. Signalis' gameplay is from a top-down perspective that is incredibly reminiscent to the classic Metal Gear games. Now, for those of you who do not know, before Metal Gear Solid there was Metal Gear, and these games had a single perspective on top-down camera. You could head north, you could head south, east, and west. And as you would do this, you would get various calls from various people telling you about how to get into the mansion or how to get into the complex, destroy this wall and stuff like that. Signalis behaves very similar. It has a 4 directional planes that you can go in, and you find clues that lead you further and deeper into the complex. This is fantastic. Very few games actually use this perspective properly, outside of maybe like classic JRPGs and stuff like that, you know. In the modern day, it hardly gets used at all. Now, a lot of people compare this game more specifically to Resident Evil 1 to 3 and Silent Hill 1 to 4. The reason for this is because they both have a very survival horror element to them, whereas in Resident Evil, it's all about fighting zombies and dealing with the horde and doing puzzle solving during that, where in Silent Hill, it's about surviving the horde of zombies but dealing with psychological horror rather than action hero horror. In Signalis, it blends both of them together in a more balanced manner. You are a kick-ass badass blasting zombies to hell, but you're also dealing with the psychological horror of the events that are unfurling in the game itself. To fight the horde of zombies, you have to use various weapons. These weapons range from your basic pistol to a high-powered rifle. In between, there's not a lot of rationale for these weapons. They all do the same thing, which is you point them at the zombie, you fire the weapon, the zombie dies. But who are these zombies, and are they actually zombies? Well, let's talk about the game itself. You are playing as a replica. Now, replica is a synthetic human android, and they were created through the use of bioresonance, and bioresonance is the magical thing in this game that allows everything to be possible. And your job as a replica is to find your gestalt, who is a human, and save their life and then help their purpose to continue. This is very reminiscent to a game I reviewed quite recently, Neo Automata. In Neo Automata, you play as a android. And as an android, your job was to defend the last bastion of humanity on the moon. Whereas in Signalis, you're an android trying to defend the last human that you know, known as Ariane. And your job is to find Ariane. And how do you find Ariane? You have to conquer the facility and head deeper into it until you unsolve and resolve the mystery. This is really cool. It gives you a nice, simple framework for your character, a very simple goal. You gotta go deeper, you gotta find your human. It works. The hordes of zombies you'll face have various different levels of threat. You have your basic zombie who just have a knife and want to stab the shit out of you. They're not actually zombies, they're androids that have gone psychologically insane and lost their ability to have clear and concise thoughts, and instead, they want to stab you. They have various forms. They have the drone, which, like I said before, has the knife. They have their commander, who has a shield, who is a bit more aggressive and observant than the drones. But when they become aggressive, it activates the drones around them to also be aggressive. We then have these long-faced creatures that to me look like a person with a foot coming out of their head. And lastly, we have these zombies that come out of the ground. They're more of your surprise zombies. And all these zombies have different characteristics to how they work, which, it mostly boils down to they see you, they chase you, they try to kill you. You fight them back with your weapons, and then after you've killed them with your weapons, occasionally they come back to life after you've returned to the room several times. In order to prevent this life regeneration, you have to burn the corpse. You burn the corpse, the zombie is now dead for good. Now the good thing about this, it gives you very good limited resources, and these limited resources make you have to question where and when to use these resources. Do you use the pistol to shoot down every single android that you see, or do you conserve ammunition and save them only for the necessary combat encounters? Do you burn every single corpse you see, or do you only burn the corpses in the main thoroughfares that you constantly return to? These are all questions you have to ask yourself throughout the gameplay in Signalis. The next important factor in Signalis is the puzzle solving. Now, like I said before, this game has a very strong reference to Silent Hill and Resident Evil. They have very similar puzzle structure. You gotta find the MacGuffin, you then have to use the MacGuffin in the special MacGuffin spot, and then this MacGuffin will open a door or give you another keycard that'll open the door you want to open. They usually do this by having 3 different main stages, and each of these main stages there is the super door, and behind the super door is usually the boss of the area or some other important feature to progress. And to open the super door you need 6 keys, and once you get all 6 keys in the area, you open the door and you progress. And it follows this structure throughout the whole game, which means that you as a player understand that, okay, my job is to find 6 keys, and then each puzzle you understand that it will give you a key at the end of the puzzle. What makes this game Signalis more unique than Silent Hill and Resident Evil is the way that it does its cutscenes. It doesn't have its straightforward cutscenes as you would expect in a Resident Evil game, where you see your character run to a room, see a giant zombie, the giant zombie attacks them, and then they have to defeat the giant zombie in a boss fight. Instead, in Signalis, every single cutscene has a emotional and psychological throughput to the greater lore of the game. Now, I don't really want to get into all of the story of the game because the point of playing these games is the story of Signalis, and spoiling it kind of spoils it for yourself. All I can say is it all has very good deep meaning and has these lovely first-person cutscenes that you get to control the camera yourself. You walk around the world and you usually do not really a puzzle in that first-person section, but you pick something up in the first person sections, and they gives you a greater appeal of the character itself rather than it just being a cutscene showing 2 people talking. If we examine a cutscene in, say, Silent Hill 2, you would walk into a room, there would be a fat guy sitting on a corpse, and you would understand, oh, this fat guy's got some screws loose. I best, stay clear of him unless he gets on my bad side.
You fat, disgusting piece of shit! You make me sick! Fat ass, you're nothing but a waste of skin! You're so ugly, even your mama don't love you!
Whereas in Signalis, you're very much a passive observer to what is going on. For example, we'll get a cutscene where we have our main character confront another character called Adler, and Adler says to us, yes, I know who this person is, they're deeper below, and then they push us down the fucking... God, like, every time I try to talk about the story, it doesn't work. Like, Signalis' story, you can't really talk about it without, spoiling everything that's cool about the story. I was going to make a lore video on this game, but I couldn't get the flow of the script to work just right. Even now when I'm just trying to talk about it loosely, I can't really get it to describe how the story works properly, because it's very much every aspect of the game is tying into the story itself. And even if you don't understand the story, you understand parts of what is happening, and you go, oh, okay, yeah, this is happening because this is happening. Or you just ignore the story completely and just play it like a survival horror game, which you should. and it's definitely worth playing that way. I would like to go further detail into this, but I can't. I have to bite my tongue every time I get close because I don't want to ruin what makes this game great, which is the story itself. So if any of this interests you, check out Signalis, give it a go, it's fun.